After suffering last night's defeat against the Los Angeles Clippers, the Sacramento Kings are officially 8-8. That's 500. That is not where the Sacramento Kings would like to be, or it's not a place they should be. The Sacramento Kings are expected to be a playoff team this year. And right now, they're dealing with injuries. They're dealing with players that are underperforming. And all this is happening while they have a player that's playing out of his mind. And that guy, obviously, if you're a Sacramento Kings fan, and if you listen to this, I'm sure you're a Sacramento Kings fan, but that guy is De'Aaron Fox. We're going to talk about that and the struggles going along in this early season and a little bit more in this episode of the Believe in Kings podcast. I'm your host, Mark Haynes, and let's get to it. Last night, the Kings lost to the Los Angeles Clippers, who are, obviously this is their team. Like, we're not talking about a team without Paul George because he left in free agency and whatnot. The new star has been Norman Powell, even though they still have James Harden. They're on paper. When you just look at it, they signed Kevin Porter Jr. They got Mo Bamba, Terrence Mann on the bench, Nicholas Batum. But when you look at it on paper, the Sacramento Kings should be the better team. There's when you look at the starters, and that's one thing. I guess we'll talk about my opinion on the Kings roster construction. I think this is a good team, right? First off, but when we talk about this team being a good team, it is definitely top heavy when it comes to even in the roster out the starters. They sound amazing. You have De'Aaron Fox, who's playing at a MVP type level right now. He's playing at an All NBA level. Then you have Kevin Herter. You know, I'm just going in order right now. We know how Kevin Herter has struggled this year, but just what he's supposed to do. And then even if you want to say like, oh, Kevin Herter, he's not really the starter, you have Malik Monk. And Malik Monk has been Malik Monk for the most part outside of nobody on this team has shot the ball well, especially from three. Demonis Sabonis, who's always going to put up, MVP type numbers that'll have him in the conversation. He'll usually end up in the top 10 or whatever. Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan. That sounds a lot better than Amir Coffey, Derek Jones Jr., Zubac. Is it? I don't cover him, so I can't get Zubac's name right, and I don't watch him enough to even focus on it. It's like he's Vic it's Vic or Zubac. But anyways, y'all know who I'm talking about. I know his last name is Zubac. Chris Dunn, James Harden. Now that starting five just doesn't sound like let me say that. It doesn't sound like they should even be able to step on the floor with the Sacramento Kings starting five. But they did. And on the bench, they have Kevin Porter, Mo Bamba, Terrence Mann, Nicholas Batum, Jordan Miller, who all, when it came to plus minus, they all were in the positive. I mean, the Clippers' whole team was in the positive last night. This was a game that it was really bad. More than likely the worst game of the season. The Kings couldn't have played no worse. And you look at the Kings, end of things in last night's game. We'll stick there for now. Last night's game, DeMar DeRozan coming back from injury, he was 6 of 19. Demonis Sabonis, it doesn't matter. He plays or not or whatever. He had a solid game. He had a Demonis Sabonis game. One thing about Sabonis is you are going to get the same Domas that you get every single night. And that's, a really good thing to have. And that's actually why I think the Sacramento Kings, at the end of the day, I think the Sacramento Kings will end up a good team because Domas is so consistent in being Domas. A bad game for Domas is a 10 point, 15 rebounds, 9 assists game, a dang near triple double. That's a bad night for Domas, which he's being productive, and that's just what you're going to get from him. Now, there comes limitations with being Domas. Obviously, he's not a scorer. Obviously, he's not a guy that you could just give the ball to and just say, go to work because we need a bucket. Everybody's struggling. We need something in the post. He's not that guy. But we know what we're getting from him. And that's a really good thing because a lot of players, you have no idea. A lot of players, even great players, you'll see a guy that's been dominating, you know, basically all season, and you're still concerned with, is he gonna give us that same type of effort tonight? De'Aaron Fox is clearly the star of this team, and he's been playing as such. Then, obviously DeMar DeRozan, he's in a new situation. There's some things to figure out. Last night, let's see, De'Aaron Fox shot 20 shots. He was 10 of 20, 8 of 10 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 29 points. He was a -4. And obviously, when it comes to plus minus, it doesn't have everything to do with your play specifically, but I'm just throwing it out. Everybody on the team was a minus. DeMar DeRozan was -8 with 16 points. He shot 4 of 8 from the free throw line, which typically he is a great free throw shooter. I'm not looking and I'm not really thinking about it, but just understanding what type of player DeMar DeRozan is, I'm pretty sure he's shooting at at least 80% for his career for the free throw line. 4 of 8, I'm sure he's kicking himself, and is unacceptable when you look at it, and I'm sure it's unacceptable for him. And I don't think that's going to happen many times. Like I said, he just came back from injury, back spasms. He still might not be 100%, but it is what it is. Then you have Kevin Herter. Kevin Herter was 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 4 from three-pointer. He didn't shoot a free throw, but he had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 block shots. It's probably a career high this season. Blocks, I mean. Um, Kevin Herter has struggled. In my opinion, Kevin Herter has struggled since was now it feels really bad when I think about it and talk about it and try to pick a specific date. And I'm not looking at numbers right now, but I personally feel like Kevin Herter has struggled since he participated in that 3-point contest during that All-Star weekend. Was that last year? I think it was last year. It could have been the year before because yeah, whatever. But anyway, since he last participated in the 3-point contest, I don't know what's been going on with Kevin Herter and his shot. But I understand what Mike Brown is doing as far as starting Kevin Herter, and we talked about it in past episodes or whatever. I think it was the right move, and I don't say you abandon that just yet, because as you can see, like guys like Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, who would be the guy, taking that position in the starting lineup, they could get going no matter when you play them. You could bring them in second quarter. You could not play them all game and put them in the fourth, and they'll give you something. So I like the idea of let's try to build Kevin Herter's confidence. Let's keep him in the starting lineup. Let's run some sets for him. Hopefully he gets going. And, so far it's been a up and down, season for Kevin. I'm not going to look at this game and say he went 0 for 5 and, just demonize the dude or whatever. Like, it happens. But now it's time to string along, some good games or whatever. And, I that has to happen. I'm not gonna say I think it's gonna happen, but that has to happen if the Sacramento Kings are gonna be a good team, which, like I said in the beginning, I believe they are a good team. Then we go to Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray has been a huge topic of conversation this season because Keegan Murray has not lived up to the standard that everyone believes Keegan Murray should be. Now, when it comes to that, it's it's a few different components that we have to think about. Obviously, in this last 2 or 3 game stretch, we assumed, and me too, so I'm putting myself in it as well. We assumed Keegan Murray would kind of take off and go back to kind of the role he had the last season, especially. As we seen, his father took to Twitter and responded to a few fans and, talked about how his usage rate was down and they need basically the Kings need to put him in the post. And I agree with that. And we'll get to that later. But Keegan hasn't shot the ball well. I think he's shooting 42% from the field and 30%. I believe he's at 30 now for from 3-point land. And then he, 80 whatever. I think 84 or something like that for free throw line. The kid is a great shooter and he is struggling right now. But I don't believe, even though I see all these different stats like, oh, Keegan Murray is leading the league in missed open 3-point shots, or, with players 4 feet away and he's blah, blah, blah. He's missing. It's him and it's Tyrese Halliburton, which we go talk about Tyrese a little bit later as well. But with Keegan, I don't think I don't think people fully understand what the guy's going through. So I have empathy for Keegan. I think a lot of these struggles have to do with when Keegan came into the league, he was a rookie trying to figure out how do I play with 2 stars in De'Aaron Fox and Demonis Sabonis, and I'm supposed to be the third, maybe fourth option, as a rookie to make a playoff run, to make the playoff to for a franchise that haven't made the playoffs in nearly 2 decades. I'm not coming in a situation where I can just shoot as many shots as I want and develop and learn under veterans. That was year one. Year two, it was like, oh no, it ain't, isn't there is no question of if you're the third or fourth option. You are the third option. And we need you to score as close to 20 points as you can every single night. And if you do not do that, that is a failure. And he had, and so his role changed. It was more pressure, role change. Year three comes along. Before the DeMar DeRozan trade happens, you are thinking or signing when they got DeMar, excuse me, not trade. Before they got DeMar, Keegan was arguably going to be the second or third option. More so the second option. You was looking for Keegan to no, it's not average close to 20. You have to average 20 or more. You have to be playing at an all-star level if this team is going to be good. But you bring DeMar DeRozan in, you sign him over the summer, and now it changes again. Not really a bad thing. I'm not, it's just it's more of a figuring out thing. But now you're the third option, but in my book, he's more of a fourth option. Obviously, he's shooting 2 more shots, I believe. I think it's 2 or 3 more shots per game than Kevin Herter, but I don't really remember too many plays this season being called for Keegan. Keegan has mostly scored or scored or shot the ball in general, more of within the flow of the game. Now he's good enough to make a lot of shots in the flow of the game, and I believe that he should. I think he should be held accountable for his shooting struggles. But like I said, it's context that goes into it. I think Keegan at this point, and as we said, we're 16 games into the season. This is we're almost past, the first quarter of the season. And the Kings are at 8-8. I think this is a time where we have to decide, like, all right, is it more important to get Kevin Herter going or to get Keegan going? Because literally every game, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like every game starts with trying to get Kevin Herter involved, running him off the screen, pin downs and all that. Like he's getting a shot up in the first, 2 minutes or so in the game. Now, I think it's a time, as we see Keegan is struggling. I don't know if his confidence is wavering, but I know he's pissed. I know that. But why not start the game off trying to get Keegan involved? Why not going straight to the post? Now I'm not gonna lie. So y'all could correct me. So don't kill me in the comments. But I'll be completely honest. I missed the first quarter of last night's game. So if they went straight to the post with Keegan, then my bad. But I still think we need to keep trying that. But from what I've seen, I don't feel like Keegan is getting now that yeah, there was. We want Keegan to get more involved, but Keegan, at this point, with the struggles he's having, I think they have to make him be involved. And I think that means Collins plays specifically for Keegan Murray. And also he's rebounding at a career high because he's playing the power forward position. He's battling Domas for, leading the team in offensive rebounds. I think he's at like 2.3 and Domas at 2.8. Keegan was at 3 at one point. So, like now that clearly just right there, that shows that Keegan Murray is not necessarily just worried about scoring on offense, which I like him in that situation better, but he's crashing the boards. You cannot average 2 to 3 rebounds offensively without, anticipating going to get a rebound. So now I got one of my better scorers thinking about rebounding on offense opposed to, maybe I get this shot up. If I stay here, maybe Fox kicks it out to me with a second to go and I'm locked and loaded, ready to go. I'm crashing the boards. That also means running. That also means banging in there with the big guys. And he's done a great job at it. But I really believe that his new role, his new responsibilities of guarding the best player on the other team, his new responsibility of having to be the second best rebounder on the team, I do think that's impacting his shot. Even though last night, he was 4 of 11, which is, that's decent. If he shot however you want to take it, if he shot one less or more, that's almost 50% or whatever. He was 2 for 5 from 3-point land, which I like that. Don't mind that. 9 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, 10 points. I would like him to get more activity and let's try to get them some easier shots. But the bench last night, no, I'm staying a long time on last night's game or whatever, so I'll probably give you 2 pods, today and, talk more. But the bench has been the big question for the Sacramento Kings. Who outside of Malik Monk can we get productivity from? And with Malik Monk still being the only, major guy in out the rotation because of an injury, his right ankle, which he could return on Sunday, the bench has been non-existent for most of this season. Obviously, you had Keon Ellis against the Hawks, who went off for 30 something off the bench. He just went crazy, made 9 3-pointers, went crazy. But again, you don't expect that from Keon. If we understand he can knock down shots. He can do a lot of great things, and that's what you want him doing. But asking him to go out there and score 20 and 30 is not, that's not really his thing. But when it comes, Trey Lyles has struggled, this year. Jordan McLaughlin has done, a better job of being involved outside of last night. Last night he was 0 for 1. He was a -10. He had one. No, that's a turnover. I was gonna say one steal, but it was just a bad game from the bench. You got let's see, 5, 6, 9 points from your second unit last night. You lose the game 104-88. It's You're not gonna win that way. And obviously, if Malik plays, he's averaging 12 this year. He's not shooting the ball at the clip that he was last year, but Malik is a guy that could go off from 12 to 20 points or even 30 at times or whatever. So obviously, you miss his presence last night, but to lose to the Clippers shorthanded, I think is unacceptable, and I think most fans will agree to that because it's not like the Clippers have played well. But I seen somebody tweeted me and was like, the Clippers are this year's version of the Pelicans last year, and you know how the Pelicans they beat the Kings 5, 6 games something, because I think it was including like play in season and play all that stuff. Somehow they matched up against them like 6 times and they won every time. And I believe, if my mind serves me correctly, the Clippers have also held the Kings under 100 points in each game they played. That's unacceptable. This is supposed to be a high powered, offense. So obviously, like I said, it's you're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with building chemistry, and these are things that Mike Brown has to figure out. So if I have to be fair and critique what is the issue with the Sacramento Kings, I have to point to Mike Brown. And not to say like, oh, he's a problem, he can't coach or whatever. That would be ridiculous. But I mean, like I have to pick Mike Brown because I believe this is a good team. And I believe that this is a playoff team. I don't Not even a play-in team. I believe it's a playoff team. And if I believe that, and they're 8-8 right now, that means Mike Brown has to, and this, I'm picking, saying this is what it means. Obviously, it's my opinion, but I believe that Mike Brown has to make some decisions and some moves to put his team in the right situation to prove that they are a good team. Because, like I said, I do believe that they are. And I also think Mike Brown is a great coach. And I think Mike Brown is going to figure it out. The Kings are 8-8 right now, but the bright side of all this season so far has been De'Aaron Fox being De'Aaron Fox. He's been amazing. And when you have a all NBA caliber player, that makes things a lot easier. When you have two all NBA caliber players with De'Aaron and Sabonis, that makes it great. Then you have a bucket getter like DeMar DeRozan. This team, they'll be all right. I'm not this is not the time to panic, but I do think this is the time that correction needs to happen, and it needs to happen quickly, because in the NBA season, it comes and goes really quick. You know what I'm saying? It comes and goes really, really quick. And when it comes to shooting, I guess we'll finish this episode off with another story of mine. Obviously, I haven't competed or played at a professional level ever, and wouldn't be allowed to do it in basketball. I do think in baseball and football, I definitely had a chance, because when it comes, that's a different topic. You know what I mean? I'm an athlete, but that's a different topic. But anyways, I'm gonna tell you about my basketball career. It had to be the summer of like 2008, and this story in relation to Kevin Herter and Keegan Murray's struggles, as a shooter. Now, I was never known as a shooter, but it was this one summer that I was just a hooper, and I was getting ready to play in this. It's a place in my hometown of Fresno, California, called Frank H. Ball. This is a historic place in my city. A lot of things happen. You play football outside. The football Edison Pop Warner team practices outside, or used to when I was there, at least when I was a kid. And then in the summer, you play basketball. They have a basketball league. Everybody from our neighborhood would be in it. All the ineligible players that are really good, and all the eligible. Everybody was there. It was a big thing. In the one summer that I played in, we won a championship. But preparing for that summer, me and my brother Chris Haynes, we were hooping like every other day. And I'm unemployed at this time, so we hooping often. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, but my jump shot was on, and my handles, I was working on my handles. I was bringing the ball up full court. I ain't never played point guard in any time of playing basketball, but I was confident, and my game was just going. So I'm ready. I'm like, I'm gonna have to pop out and show them, you know what I'm saying, when I get to Frank H, because everybody go be there. But anyways, my game is going. I'm going around different gyms. I'm hooping with real hoopers from my city, and I'm getting mine. And defensively, man, please, please. I was locked down. So I was a two-way player, man. I was prepared to contribute to my team's success once the summer league started. The thing that happened in the summer league, and this is where I relate to Keegan Murray and Kevin Herter, is when summer league started, we started putting our team together, right? It was me and my brother's team. I brought on a guy named Jamil Moody York, and he won player of the year, section player of the year, I believe, like twice, in my city, in my area. So he's like, 19, 20 or whatever. So he's still young, fresh legs, could jump out the gym, could shoot the ball. He was by far, at this time, at this edition, he was the best player. Then we stack our team even more. We get Aaron Haynes, childhood friend, family. We share the same last name. He's basically family. But Aaron Haynes played at Sacramento City College. He's the all-time leading scorer there. He went to Boise State from there, and then he had a long career in Korea, and he's the all-time leading scorer in Korea. So that tells you what type of player he is. 6'8", left-handed, could shoot, do everything. That tells you what type of player he is. So he comes on the team, and now it's like, all right, he's the star, because he's actually in his prime at this time too. Oh, but we're not done yet. And like I said, and Chris could hoop. Chris played college ball. So now in the starting lineup, as I'm completing it, I guess I'll complete it before I say this. In the starting lineup, the last person we like, man, we need a big man. Our team was legit. So I go get a big man. And that big man is my guy, Greg Smith. We call him Juju. But Greg Smith played for the Houston Rockets. He played I think 8 years or something in the NBA. He had a 2020 game against Dwight Howard. That tell you what type of player he is. All of a sudden, I become the worst player in the starting lineup. That means all the work that I put in the summer to be a shot creator, to be a playmaker, to shoot threes, to be ready to score, to be ready to show out. All that is gone instantly. Then we get into the season. Obviously, we're dominating people, and I'm getting like maybe 1 to 2 shots a game. And I can't even hit the rim, man. I'm throwing up air balls left and right because I'm just out of rhythm now. Because now you don't need me for scoring. Now I'm Pat Beverly, Marcus Smart. I'm just locking people up. Whoever the best player on the other team is, I'm locking them up. I'm getting rebounds. I'm doing all the dirty work. And when you're out of your game of what you know you're going to do mentally, or what you thought you were going to do mentally, it impacts other things. Like I said, obviously, Keegan Murray and Kevin Hurt are both far better players than me. And I expect both of those guys to get it going, especially Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray is going to finish the season off on a great note. I think he's going to have a great year. I think we're going to forget about the Keegan Murray struggles. I think we're going to hear the Keegan Murray chant when we need to hear it, and probably even more than that. So I don't think it's a concern, but I do think it is a time for the Kings to figure some things out and get some type of rhythm going. Getting Malik Monk is going to help that out, help that process tremendously. But the team has to stay healthy. They have to stay on the court. They have to stay together. And Mike Brown has to put up a coach of the year type season, which I think he can, and I think he will. And I know I said we was going to talk about Tyrese Halliburton, and I think I mentioned some other things, but that's gonna have to, I'm gonna have to wrap this up or whatever. We've been on this for what is it, 32 minutes or so. I'm a little over my time, but we will come back, and I promise to give you another episode very, very soon. And this is the Believe in Kings podcast. I'm your host, Mark Haynes. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. Give me that 5-star, please, even if you hate my guts, but give it to me anyways. But yeah, Believe in Kings podcast, Mark Haynes, signing out. Until next time.